So I'm not saying because of my conference it happened, but I did provide him the airfare and the hotel. He did come. So maybe maybe if it's for budgetary reason, maybe I have some contribution. But the fact that he was there did contribute to something. So that's important, Of course, the end result, the formal dialogue, hasn't borne result as such. I can't comment on the 8th meeting. The first meeting, I have some role. The second meeting, this was the topic, right? Third meeting, His Holiness the Dalai Lama came to Harvard in September of 2003, and I wanted to, again, being a rebel, as I wanted to do something more. Have His Holiness talk to 35 Chinese scholars so that I can prove to these well-intended American and Western scholars, right, who unintentionally were becoming panda huggers by depriving us, the exiled Tibetans, of participating in the conferences, that not only we, the exiled Tibetans, can meet and have met with Chinese scholars and Tibetans from Tibet and discuss about Tibet, even His Holiness can meet with, Chinese scholars. I'm trying to deconstruct the myth that they were trying to create, that this is our issue. And His Holiness came, met with 35 Chinese scholars, and I was paranoid for very good reason, because I did say, I'm taking it next level, and 35 Chinese scholars are going to meet with His Holiness. A monk from Namgyal Monastery, whom I met in Ithaca, said, "Are you crazy?" I said, "Why? Why do you want His Holiness to be in one room with 35 mainland Chinese scholars? Aren't they our quote-unquote enemies? Do you trust these people? They can do anything to His Holiness. If something happens, you are to be blamed." Oh my God! What the hell did I do here, But I'm a rebel. I took the challenge, and it went fine. At the end, actually, most of them got up and gave His Holiness their standing ovation after 2 hours of meeting. And they wanted to take group photographs with him. Good luck. They did take. Not my responsibility if they land up in trouble back in Beijing, because I didn't want them at your own risk. They did take. Then the 4th conference. Oh, disaster. Almost a disaster. So I changed I shortened the title, Instead of say socio-economic, cultural, environmental situation, I just said dialogue on contemporary Tibet, But in Chinese, dialogue could mean discussion or negotiation. Contemporary Tibet mean contemporary Tibet or present Tibet, right? So the bureaucrat in one office said, we cannot have negotiation on present Tibet. The issue is solved. Oh my God. What did I do, So I didn't consult Tashi Rabge because her Mandarin is very good, I just thought went with this. And then 3 weeks before the conference, I got a call from San Francisco. The same woman, Hu Xiaojiang, the Chinese student president, who was then a PhD student, said, "Lobsang." It was 12 o'clock here, midnight. It was 3 a.m. in the morning at my home, actually. I got a call and said, "Lobsang, they are not coming." I said, "Who are not coming?" "All those 7 Chinese scholars who were supposed to come from Beijing are not coming." "Why?" They said, "Because of this reason." Oh. I think a little bit of compassion and patience was inculcated in me because I've been to refugee school for many years and done the prayer. I said, "Don't worry." She was like, "What?" "Tell them that please come. If there's anything that we could do to facilitate their participation, we are willing to do it. If there are some complaints about the title, we can get back to the same old title, Dialogue on Socio-Economic, Cultural, Environmental Situation. But please tell them the conference will happen." She said, "How?" "Don't worry about that. Just convey the message. Do your thing." Quickly, I started dialing up, calling everywhere I could and get some Chinese participants, scholars to come and participate. And fortunately, I managed to get 4 or 5 Chinese scholars within the US who have some knowledge about, or who have been to Tibet, or who have been to border of Tibet, or some knowledge about Tibet, to come to my conference, Why? Because one thing, failure was not an option, right? Then these American and other scholars say, "See, we told you so. Why you exiled Tibetans are the problem," right? Secondly, that hardliner bureaucrat who was trying to sabotage my conference can say, "Yoo-hoo, I won, this exiled Tibetan lost, next year no conference," you know. I can't take defeat. So I said, we had the conference, right? Next year what happened? By then I had also learned few tricks. How Beijing works, how bureaucracy works, how institution works, how their competition, who likes, who doesn't like, rivalries, all that. I started inviting participants from some institutions. Then it raised eyebrows. Next year they said they sent the highest delegation, right? Top scholars from Beijing. Any scholars I wanted, they were coming. So, you know, the Vice President of Tibetology Institute and President of Tibet Academy of Social Science from Lhasa, all of them came. That was the highest level delegation participation. And it went very well. But I was in a bit of almost a trouble. Because I try to do too many things and I try to wear too many hats. Not only I was the organizer, I'm still the organizer, but I was also actively participating, not only in one panel, two panels. It means I was speaking in the conference. Now I was in dilemma. In the audience there are Tibetans and Chinese, Tibetans from exile, Tibetans from Tibet, and my Harvard professors all. Now if I speak too strongly, my Chinese participants feel insulted, right? They'll say, exactly, Lobsang is one of those noisemakers. All he did was insult us, right? If I don't speak strongly enough, exiled Tibetans will say, look, Lobsang is a sellout, right? He doesn't speak our language. But then, if I'm not factually correct, Tibetans from Tibet will say, these exiled Tibetans, actually, they really don't know about Tibet. What they're speaking is BS, you know? But then at the same time, I'm not scholarly enough. Harvard professors will say, how did we appoint him as a senior fellow? You know, did we get the wrong guy? But I don't think I made everybody happy, but I don't think I made everybody unhappy as well. So, mission accomplished. Then the 6th and the 7th conference happened recently. 6th was in September of 2007, November of 2007. And by then I had some leverage. What was the topic of the conference? Autonomy in Tibet. The first panel was on historical status of Tibet. Second panel was on how do you define autonomy. Third panel was on how do you define Tibet. Is the Greater Tibet or autonomous region? Fourth was on demographic changes in Tibet. How many Chinese are in Tibet and adjacent area, you know, in Tibet autonomous region, adjacent area in Kham and Amdo, you know. And then what are the obstacles to the negotiation, how we can address it. The 5 most sensitive topics were addressed, at least we discussed. So the lessons learned was, you know, the topic has to be as ambivalent as possible. And then as for the participants, right, how do you do? Because if you have read Arthur Clemens, you know, guidelines, and if you have read conflict resolution guidelines, there are many ways you can invite participants. Now, the easiest way, right, there's logically easiest way. Get people who are in the government or who are in close proximity to the government, right? Because you meet with them, you convince them, you brainwash them, you send them back, they will influence the government, the policy changes. But the problem is, those who are closest to the government are hard-headed. They are the hardliners. When you try to convince them, you almost get convinced with sheer frustration. With sheer frustration. If these are the people we have to talk to, you just better give up then, you know, fold your tent and go back to Lhasa or something, right? Then you say, no, we must get people, you know, who can understand our language. Then you invite liberal scholars, you know, maybe friends of, you know, Chong Fang De and Chong De Fang, I'm so sorry, right? They come, they participate, and they speak your language. Yes, there is a problem in Tibet. There are human rights violations going on in Tibet. Chinese government is not being nice to you all. We know that. Why? We don't like them either. Sounds real, sounds so good, right? But they go back, you hear that they were almost arrested, you know. So instead of influencing the government, they are the furthest from the government. Now, you feel good when they were in the conference, but you feel